What up?
What up, Jimmy Toscano, Josue Pavon, Bobby Manning joining from the Garden in a little bit. Celtics beat the Heat
I would say
122-92.
it wasn't very hot, put it that way,
It wasn't a hot Heat team,
in
but again,
Miami.
it's a bummer
But we'll
for
let it
two
slide.
reasons. No, look, you want wins. You want Celtics are playing well. You wanted to see them play a good team, and they didn't get a chance to because Butler and Lowry, and
Right.
they had a whole bunch of people out. PJ Tucker. So it was a bit of a bummer in that regard. But again, you're trying to stack up wins, you'll take it. But still, even with the guys who are out, 30-point win, man, wire to wire. And again, this game was 32-32. In the second quarter after that 16-1 Heat run during the Dennis minutes. And then after that, friggin' kablamo, 90-60 the rest of the way. That was, they put the hammer down.
Yeah, they did. I'll be honest. After that Heat comeback, I was like, wow, really? Like 17-point disappeared just like that.
It's a good
But,
win.
yeah, they came back. They sort of like settled the nerves, I guess you could call it, and Marcus Smart and the rest of those guys got into their groove. And like we said, the Heat, as good as they are, you're down your two best players. Bam Adebayo can only do so much, especially when man, they were missing. They looked like the Boston Celtics out there especially in that fourth quarter. They couldn't hit anything. Hero was missing. Duncan Robinson looks like a shell of himself now. He might have to go back to blogging or whatever it was he was thinking about doing before the NBA.
Messed up,
But
Jim.
hey, credit to the Celtics, man. They beat the crap they needed to beat the crap out of.
Yeah, exactly. Like this is what you're supposed to do, right?
Bobby, are you wearing a headband?
You're wearing a winter
No,
hat.
that's a hat.
Okay.
Is that a dedication to Schroeder or what's that?
No, I can see why he does it. It's cold in here. It is.
It gets cold in the Garden.
We are rolling out some Garden Report merch at some point or another in the near future, and every hat Bobby Manning has worn will be for sale.
Yeah, add this to the arsenal.
For sure.
This is a fact. Bobby bucket hats are coming with a picture of Bobby on there.
Yeah,
we're gonna have one
these out
page.
outside the Garden.
Yeah.
Outside the Garden before the games.
The bucket hat.
Yeah, the CLNS cart will have Nick out there in 0 degrees.
Yeah.
But no, yeah.
Right next to the LeBron Sucks shirts.
This is what the Celtics are supposed to do. I feel like a couple of weeks ago, this is going to be a close game no matter what, no matter which team the Miami Heat sent out there. So, for them to
I thought they were going to lose
Heat,
bad. And, even after I heard the lineup adjustments, Butler, Tucker going down, I still thought the Heat were going to win this game. They've been so resilient this year, and you look at the numbers when those guys are out and how many games they've won, with Butler missing a ton of games and Bam missing numerous ones this year. They've been excellent playing Gabe Vincents and Caleb Martins and Max Strus, who was amazing here. So this is, I think, a feather in Boston's cap. This is the 1 seed through many injuries this year.
Feather in their cap.
This was a good win for them to keep racking up these blowouts, which it didn't seem like the Celtics were capable of a couple of weeks ago. You got to feel good about that. The Kings and Wizards are one thing. The Heat, that's a lot more impressive what you did here. Not only shutting them down, but breaking his zone.
Those were whatever. The Wizards are a competitive team, but they'd been playing like crap lately. Again, I always will take the win against Miami just because they're so well coached and they really keep it together that you're just expected to be competitive even with their stars out. But it wasn't competitive at all. It really wasn't. Though a piece of me dies every time I watch Max Strus hit friggin', drain a shot.
Yeah.
And again, I know we're going to go down this. We always go down this wormhole. It is incredible to think. I got all pissed off today seeing the Mark Stein report about the Schroeder probably just going to give him away, and blah, blah, blah. And his days are numbered. And, it just seems more likely that it's going to be a straight salary dump, which I know a lot of fans aren't bummed about. But just this idea of just all the assets they've burned for nothing just for the sake of, getting under the cap. And then just think about this team with Strus. If you kept him instead of shipping him off and staying with – who did they pick in his place, Bobby, when they had him in camp? You're muted.
Bobby?
Sorry, we get the music blasting here. Yeah, it was Javonte Green.
It was
with the final
Javonte
roster
Green.
spot. And
Bingo,
Taco
final
Fall.
And Taco,
could-
Jimmy,
yeah.
Taco. And then obviously the Desmond Bain, Alpern say just even having mismanaged aspects of the roster, one or two things here. Imagine how different this team would look with a guy like that.
Yeah,
you know?
you're not
even
gonna
a
hit
guy
them all.
like Strus, you're not gonna hit them all, but missing them all sucks,
And that's why you are where you are.
That's why you are where you are. It's such a thin margin between having had a couple of guys who could have made all the difference, whether you drafted differently, you didn't sell off Desmond Bain, you took Strus instead of Taco. Just these little teeny things could have changed so much, and you find yourself desperately needing a guy just like that or a guy just like that, and you had him. You could have had him. It's a bummer. But anyway, we don't have to get into that now. The win is the win. Everyone, the story's going to be Marcus. Best behavior, Marcus Smart. Please don't trade me. Since returning from COVID has been awesome.
Yes,
You're still on mute, Bobby.
I guess I will take it from there, Joe. Even though I would.
Sorry, we got some music blasting here.
No, you're doing the right
heavy
thing.
on the mute button.
You're doing the right thing.
Listen, I was in a chat with a couple of friends during this game, and Marcus Smart came up, obviously, and it's pretty simple. The Marcus Smart that we've been seeing over the last few games is a different Marcus Smart for whatever reason, whether it's a a mental thing where he's just determined to be the playmaking, pass first, smart decision, point guard that everyone was kind of hoping he would be game one, or if he's a little bit more healthier now than he was. I don't know what it is, but if this was the Marcus Smart that you were getting to start the season, we wouldn't be having these arguments practically every show about Marcus Smart's value and if he's a point guard or if he's a sixth man or if they should trade him. The Celtics would probably have 8 more wins, and everyone would be saying Marcus Smart is the team's MVP and he should be the captain. So different players that we've been seeing, I'm very happy with the Marcus Smart that we've seen as of late. I think it's exactly what this team needs. And yeah, it's tough to really gauge it when you're playing against, point guards that are basically backups because, let's be honest, Kyle Lowry would have been a tougher matchup tonight than whoever the Heat were putting out there, throughout the game. So that being said, I think Marcus Smart stepped up to the challenge. And I don't know if you guys talked about it Saturday night, some of those quotes that he had about, trying to basically prove everybody wrong or prove to himself that he can be the guy.
Yeah.
But he's kind of doing it over these last few games. Now, my thing is this. We've seen 7 years of Marcus Smart, and we know who that player is, and we've seen about 5 games of Marcus Smart now. So who's the real Marcus Smart? I mean, I tend to think that it's the guy for the first 7 years. So we'll see. But right now, it's all fine and dandy.
He's either been motivated by Ime or he feels something's happening. Different guy since the return. Different guy in his demeanor.
Both, John. I think it's both.
Different guy in his play. Go ahead, Josue. Yeah.
Yeah, I just what you said. Yeah, I think it's both. I think it's a combination of trying to prove to Ime and trying to prove to his team. We talked about it the other night. We can say maybe this locker room isn't split, but maybe there's a group of guys that are just not all ears with Marcus anymore, like they used to be. And I think Marcus is doing a good job of promoting himself, the campaign, if you will, right? The Marcus Smart campaign continues, and right now it looks good. And at the end of the day, regardless of who's out there for Miami, you wanted to see the Celtics do this. You wanted to see them get a blowout win against this team, because I think a couple of weeks ago, regardless of which team they see, we weren't sure which team was going to show up. And I think consistency is all we can ask for at this point in the season.
Yeah, and I wrote about those comments and his role and possible solution that he can provide to them in the fourth quarter on CLNS this week after he made those. And yeah, it has been an odd week with him with the hand we talked about, mentioning how much that's aching him and everything else that he's thrown out there, the love yous in Washington. But he's been outstanding. I mean, can we use that adjective?
That's not weird. He's just showing love.
Hey, normalize saying I love you, okay?
Yeah.
Everyone tonight, text your friend and say I love you.
Say it to someone every day, Bobby. Okay.
Yeah.
Come on, fellas. You know it resonates more when it comes from one.
Text a group chat. Okay? Hey, any dudes watch? Text a group chat of the boys. Just say, "Hey, I love you guys."
Doesn't matter.
Just see what happens.
If you're sober or not. When one of your boys tells you they love you, that shit hits. All right, it hits.
I check in.
Something's going on.
I check
Yeah,
in with
something's
you
going
guys.
on, right? Shit is
I check
down.
it.
Yeah.
Something is up if I get that text, but
You don't
We
just get
check
that
in.
exactly. Yeah.
We check in with each other daily, and there's not a lot of "I love yous." It's the other way.
yeah,
Never,
it was
Bobby. Just wait. Valentine's Day, I'm a different guy. Okay, just wait for it.
very romantic. Yeah.
Yeah, but
Very
one of
romantic.
us said that though. To Jimmy's point, one of us said that. It's like, yo, you all right, bro? You
Is
good?
everyone
Yeah,
okay?
like-
Is John okay?
Yeah. What? Is some news about to break about you? They're like,
Yeah,
Someone
right.
drive over there and check on him.
You want to
Yeah.
share something with us? What's going on, man?
Yeah.
You good?
The next thing is like, don't believe what you hear.
So much love.
Just
love
remember, I love you, bro. All right?
Yeah.
So, can I use the word phenomenal yet? Now that
No,
we've made it this
no.
far, can we please do it?
Bobby.
You mean
Bobby.
in
At
a
some
tonight
point,
setting?
what's it gonna take? 7, 10 games?
If
of
it was
doing
a
this
healthy
in a
Miami
row?
team,
10
if
games.
it was a healthy Miami
Bobby,
team, yes.
you have
Yeah.
point guards who every other night. Okay, John Morant is phenomenal. Okay,
Yeah.
we've seen
7 in a
LaMelo
row.
Ball put up nights that are phenomenal. Marcus Smart has never in his life done anything like that, so you can't compare that.
Well, he's not
You can't-
capable of doing those
he's not-
things, so he
exactly.
shouldn't
So-
play like that.
Because he's not capable, it's
So
really
then you
hard
can't
to say
call him that.
phenomenal. We're not grading on a curve. Marcus Smart has been
We are
really
grading on a
good
curve, 'cause
the last 5
this-
games. Yes.
This team's problem is all about how everybody fits into a role here. And now we're starting to see everybody establish those things. That's where the
I'm
success
catching
is
up on the love you commentary. Sorry, go ahead.
Smart. I think one of the underrated things with Ime and Smart here is that they've found the sweet spot for Marcus. Now we can argue and debate whether they could use more of him in key situations. He obviously made a statement on that. But through the flow of a game this year, and this is why I said he had a case for being their best player at a certain point this year, he's just hit all the right buttons. He's limiting his shot attempts to the lowest in 3 years. He's getting in there on the boards. He's defending at the highest level. I still think he's in play for an all-defense team, 3rd time in 4 years. And he's just playing all the different roles that he fills to the maximum. And he's not trying to do the things that he's not capable of. So within the context of the Celtics and his role, he's been phenomenal. I'm not expecting him to go take 15 shots and score 30. If he did that, you'd say, oh, what a phenomenal performance. But you wouldn't feel good about the way he's approaching the game.
I hate
Nah,
that
that's a Celtics curve. That's a Celtics
I know
curve.
it's a Celtics curve. I hate that we have to do this after a game when he plays really well. Can we just leave it at he's playing well? Like, just leave it there. Like,
well, we
that's the
can't
whole-
because this is the problem. The people who love Marcus Smart like want to just crown and say that he's phenomenal and he's this and that, and then the people who hate Marcus Smart want to say he's trash, and then we're constantly fighting about which one or the other.
Well, here's
Just
the
say
thing,
that
Someone
he
just
played
said
well
Halliburton.
tonight.
Halliburton just had 38 and 7 the other night. That's phenomenal. You know, like
Right.
there's a lot of phenomenal performances on a nightly basis. Like, I just don't think you could grab a guy who has 16 points and 7 assists and say phenomenal. It's solid.
He gave the
It's
team
good.
what they needed.
It's
needed.
rock
And
solid.
if he plays
also,
like this,
yeah.
No, that's a good point. It's a good point. The stat line should pop out at you. That's
Right.
phenomenal.
To go to phenomenal. It is
that's never
what
gonna
he's
happen
doing
with
is
him.
but then you can't call him phenomenal, okay? Like, you can't say like I'm a good dunker. You know, like
Well,
a good
wait,
dunk.
could
You
this
know,
is
like-
literally our
Bobby,
text conversation.
Bobby,
This
Bobby,
is
what are
literally
you
our
gonna
text
say?
conversation.
could
What are you
Dennis
gonna say
Rod
when he drops 38 and I don't know 14 assists? Like, what are you gonna call that? Like, that would be.
I mean,
phenomenal.
didn't Dennis Rodman have a phenomenal career, Hall of Fame, top 75? He didn't score 30 points every night. He didn't play like John Morant. You play phenomenal within your role, and
No.
he's starting to do that
No,
this year.
look,
Dennis Rodman was the best rebounder in
the best
basketball.
rebounder
for
in
a
the
long-
history of
Well,
basketball.
Smart's one of the best
Yeah.
defenders in the league, and he's doing that at a high rate.
Dennis
Johnson,
Rodman
don't you-
was literally.
Don't you say it.
Come on. I mean,
Dennis
I'm
Rodman's
just saying,
rolling in his grave right now. If he's dead, I'm not sure.
Listen, Bobby, let's just say it like this, okay? Marcus
He's
Smart,
still
the
with us,
best
Jimmy.
part about
He's still
Marcus Smart is he's doing all the things that make him good and none of the things that make him frustrating or inconsistent or bad. And that's the best you can ask for from him, which is super active on defense, active hands, switching. Obviously the team is better when he's out there on the floor doing that. And on offense, lower shots, better shot selection, quick to distribute the ball, picking up pace. When he does all of those things at the same time, that's the best version of Marcus Smart, which is not phenomenal, but it's absolutely solid, and it's one of the reasons they're winning games right now. And you'll take it. It's great. When he mixes
we don't
in
need
some
him
of
to
the
be
other stuff,
phenomenal.
you don't
He's playing
need
well.
it.
He's
He's
playing
playing
well.
well.
He's playing well.
Can we
He's
just
playing
We
leave
need
it
well.
Tatum
well?
to be phenomenal.
Look,
We need
yeah,
Tatum to
no,
be phenomenal.
actually, all we need, honestly, is just some consistency, and we're finally getting it. So
That's
good. But
great.
keep it up.
Right.
Keep it up. Right.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
I'm not ready to say this is, and like we've been talking about for the last week or last 10 days or so. This is supposed to be the soft portion of the schedule, right? So, I mean, we shouldn't be completely up and, you know what I mean? We shouldn't be like, oh, this is it, guys. You know, or this is Marcus Smart taking over the team. Let's see if we can keep this going. Let's see if we can.
Yes,
consistency
that's
first.
a challenge. The challenges
Yeah.
play like this. Now the challenges continue to play like this. Again, we're not like with everybody. Like we've seen all of them. Like nobody's fooling anybody. Like nobody's going to show up tomorrow, do one thing differently, and be like, this might be a totally different guy than I thought he was. Like, no, you got to do it over time, you know, and that's great. But you've seen Marcus with the peaks and valleys. So like, there's not a person out there who's not like, oh, this is great. More of this Marcus would be good. 100%. Like, take it.
Right.
Here's the thing, though, and this is what makes it important, is he's the only guy I think that can provide many of these things at the level he does them here. There's no alternative.
In the world?
Well, in terms of what they can acquire, too.
I know.
We've talked about this. You can't swap out. You can't swap out Smart for a better point guard. It's just, there's no move out there that happens. So they need Smart to be involved, connected with everybody. Yeah. And this is still a concern. We didn't get to see crunch time tonight because it was a blowout. Is he going to be able to execute this role in crunch time? They haven't had many of those opportunities lately. So we got to wait to see another one.
In those 5 games, you have 3 blowouts and 1 game where Marcus wasn't allowed to touch the ball down the stretch. So it's again, you're trying to see if he's got those trust issues, right? You know, like whether Ime is going to let him do it. And that's, you know, we don't know yet. You know, he's. I
mean, you guys must have talked about that quote for a while on the last show.
Which one?
Yes,
the one from Marcus.
There's a lot of them.
The one from Marcus on like how he didn't think
about his hand or.
No, I had to prove. You know, he doesn't think that.
Yeah.
The one from the Athletic, was it?
Yeah, the Ime doesn't love me.
Yeah, Ime doesn't. Yeah, I mean that's it right there. He's proved trying.
Ime didn't tell him he loved him.
Yeah, right. Exactly. Now my only
that was right before the Hawks game too.
My only
Can
negative
Smart
spin
be
on
the
that.
solution? Can he? I mean, it's been sitting there. It really has. I'm not counting it out. Smart can be the solution at point guard. This pass first, facilitation oriented point guard that everybody's searching for. That's who he is.
Bobby, you kill me because 2 weeks ago you were saying something completely different. I don't know.
I know. I'm starting to question based on what we're seeing here.
I know, but go ahead, Jimmy. What were you about to say? You're about to say something about Marcus.
About the comments. I was going to say my negative spin on it is that I feel like he shouldn't want to be playing to prove somebody wrong or to prove whatever. Like, I feel like all these players are out to prove something or to prove people wrong.
Like, that's the only way they're motivated, right? Yeah.
Right. Like, that shouldn't be your motivation. Your motivation should be to play together, do what it takes to win, and good things will happen. Like, play as a team, be a team. That's, I think, a lot of people's criticism is it doesn't feel like it's a team out there. Now, if everyone has their own personal goals and vendettas and they want to prove people wrong and prove their coach wrong or prove their teammates wrong, like, that's not conducive to a winning culture. And, like, it's only going to get you, it might get you some solid performances or you might win a couple of extra games, but it's not going to take you where you want to go if you want to go to, the NBA Finals. It's just not going to happen that way. So it's fine. It's fine that, they're finding some motivation, but they're finding it, in my opinion, they're finding it in the wrong ways. They're finding the wrong.
That's a solid point because that's what I'm worried about. That's the thing. I'm just trying to find. I want to see these guys just put it together consistently, and this is in line with that because it wasn't a nail biter. It shouldn't have been. The Celtics did what they were supposed to do with this Miami Heat team, regardless if they have the top record in the East right now. That's not them. The core team wasn't there, so this is the result because the Celtics had their core guys. But yeah, to Jimmy's point, I think it's more interesting to see what's going to happen once they can string together wins and then maintain that. Keep that fire when everyone isn't criticizing them. On a night-to-night basis, the way they were going through the mud the last couple of weeks.
Cosign.
Yeah. So look, I mean, we've had this conversation a zillion times. The people, the people who get down on Marcus is about either the inconsistencies or just looking and dreaming ahead of what could be if you did have one of those elite playmaking options. And also, he gets scapegoated, right or wrong, for when the Jays are struggling, because that's when you're going to say, but oh, someone's got to set them up more. Someone's got to do a better job for those guys. So again, when those guys are cold, Marcus gets a ton of the blame, and you say, I wish we had a guy out there who's more of a dynamic playmaker. If they're going well, their shots are falling, which a lot of it might have to do with Marcus as well. Everything is happy and everybody's happy, and it's less of an issue. You're not sitting here pointing at this team and being like, the one thing they need is a playmaker. It's less obvious, that's the case. So when people criticize Marcus, it's because, I mean, offensively, he's pretty ordinary, and there's a lot of guys out there who can do a ton at that position, both in terms of scoring and in terms of pace and in terms of playmaking ability. So whatever, that's it's against a guy who doesn't exist, not against necessarily Marcus or Marcus versus anyone else on the roster who I don't think anybody's arguing, for.
No, honestly, like, they need a player to play the way Marcus Smart is playing. They don't need a point guard that's going to score 30. We already seen how, score first point guards.
Guy.
Yeah, like they like, if Marcus Smart truly plays the way he has played the last few games, then to answer Bobby's point, he is a solution, for sure. That just hasn't been the player we've seen. So he's in a little bit of a different role now. If he's going to truly embrace the role for the right reasons, little bachelor or bachelorette saying there, are you in it for the right reasons? Then it's going to work. If you're in it for the wrong reasons, if you're in it for yourself or whatever, then it's not going to work.
That is concerning, Jimmy. Once that deadline hits and mostly
John,
stays
did you
the
get
same.
that joke?
Oh, what, The Bachelor?
Yeah.
No. I'm laughing at the chat. I've never watched a single episode of The Bachelor.
Good.
You
There you
haven't
go,
watched The
pump.
Bachelor.
Yeah.
BS,
All right.
dude.
I thought
I have plenty of guilty pleasures. That's not one of them. That's
I would have
freaking
been
trash.
really surprised. I would have really,
Trash.
I've seen a few
seasons.
seasons. This might shock people. I've seen a few seasons of The Bachelor.
I get it,
Not
though.
recently,
it's like
past.
sport. Actually, a ton of guys I know who watch sports love The Bachelor because it's like sports,
Totally.
It's a competition.
There's winners, there's losers.
Yeah,
there's
exactly.
Tears,
yeah.
There's backstabbing.
There's a lot of love too, and we're all about love.
So,
we are about a lot about love. Today we are.
Marcus would fit right in.
At the end of the day, it's about finding love, and that's the theme of the show.
You do worry, Jimmy, that once that deadline does hit, everyone just kind of slumps their shoulders and they're like, "Whew, we didn't get traded." And then there's months and months of the season after that, and is this that same level of urgency? And
see, Bobby.
Bobby. I think the energy.
I want this to be fool's gold. Like, I'm afraid it's going to be, once the deadline passes, it's going to be, all right, we're all safe here.
You do worry about that.
The energy is changing.
Question.
The energy is changing, guys.
What makes you guys think
Jalen,
they want to be here so badly? Wait. Time out. What makes you think they're all playing to stay here? Like, this is the best place for everyone to be? Like, it's newsflash. This isn't a great situation.
You could, who knows where you can end up if you get traded. It could be destroyed.
They walk out of the garden into negative 10-degree weather.
Has anybody called Tristan Thompson recently?
Yeah.
I'm sure he loved getting
That guy's
traded.
too comfortable.
Here's my
sending him out to Cali.
Here's my remaining question out of this good stretch of play here is that, yes, I think what Smart gives you is the identity to shut down teams on the defensive end. I think we understate that every night. They are nailing teams with their defense. I mean, Miami was just suffocated here. That starting unit, well over halfway into the season, still looks impenetrable when they're all out there. So you can turn that into offense. You can play good two-way basketball and control the flow of the game when that group is in. But for another game here, that bench looked bad. I mean, no cohesion. Nobody stepping up and leading that group. They give up that 16-1 run, and that was the only run the Heat made there, but it was a scary one. Grant gets lit up by a hero in that unit, and he ended up hitting his threes later, but it wasn't a great overall game for him. Richardson's impact's waning a little bit. Schroeder certainly in that bench point guard role just isn't doing anything.
That is awful.
But they're gonna have to reshape who they are in rotations, even if they don't do all that much at the deadline.
Again, we've mentioned messing with the start. Like, I get it. The starting lineup's playing such good defense right now, and they're on a roll, and the numbers have been good. But holy crap, man! Like, the bench rotations are so out of whack. that, I mean, no matter who is out there, like Grant was awful in that unit. Schroeder, awful when he's on the bench. Grant comes in and he plays with the starters in the third quarter. Terrific. Like it's a mess right now. Like Schroeder kicked to that second unit is useless, and I don't understand it unless there's something wrong with that with the Achilles.
It's like a Terry Rozier 2019
and he's moving
thing,
weird.
I feel like.
But he should, in that second unit, I would think he'd just be. I mean, he'd have a green light. Just go and just shoot 1,000 times, dude. Like just dribble into the.
I think something's wrong with him. I mean,
create your offense because he's not doing that at all. He hasn't gone to the basket at all.
Ime loves Schroeder. Let's be honest. Ime loves Schroeder, and he played 17 minutes tonight. I have a feeling that he's hurting a little bit, and he was on some sort. There's probably some understanding that if he didn't look right, he wasn't going to get a ton of burn tonight, and he didn't. He didn't look right. He didn't get a ton of burn. I think I just saw 17 minutes. So I'm going to say that he's definitely not the Schroeder physically that we've seen, the explosiveness to the basket and all those things, and you can see it out there. I mean, tonight was a night where he shouldn't have been on the court. So, those nights happen. Now, I don't think the pitchfork should have to come out and we have to, crucify him and all this stuff. But like some people want to do every chance they get. But, it is what it is, I guess.
No, yeah, it's fair to call him out when he's not playing great. He's not the issue this year, and he's not the reason they are where they are overall. It's a number of guys who have struggled in those spots. And even in this game,
they'd be 3 or 4 wins worse if Dennis didn't exist. They would
easily.
They would have lost a few. They would have lost a few games early in the year.
And during that run, Smart struggled too. Yeah,
he saved their bacon early in the year. Lately, he's been off. I mean, no question about it.
Yeah, I don't understand the dialogue Jimmy talks about there too. One, blame him for everything, and can't wait to get him out of here.
Because it's it's a scapegoat. It's easy because everyone knows that he's gone, so they can sound smart by saying.
It's insane how much hate he engenders. Like. He's 5 guys on the floor give up a 16-1 run. Marcus is on the floor for half of it. Tatum's on the floor for all of it.
They were on the floor together, yeah.
Grant is on the floor, and everyone's like, Schroeder's killing us.
Get him out of there.
It's Grant, not just one person. Like the entirety of Celtics, like it is insane. I don't know what the guy did. Like he has really upset a lot of people.
He must be mean to people.
He must
be.
I don't know what it is.
He's just not. He must be mean or something.
Yeah, it's brutal.
He doesn't give a good quote.
I've never seen anything like it. Right? He was mean.
I used to think it was just the people who were pro Marcus, but now it's all over. It's most of Celtics Nation now.
I mean, he does.
Everyone.
Right.
He does
because it's been pounded into their heads. I think so. They've just they just don't even know that they're saying it or thinking it anymore because it's been.
And he's the new guy. He's the new guy. So it's like, let's just blame him.
He does have frustrating tendencies. It's just you got to treat him the same as Smart.
So do all of them.
I want all the fans who blame media for players not wanting to play here. Take a look at yourself. Take a look at yourself.
Bobby. Bobby, who doesn't have frustrating tendencies on the Celtics?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Jaylen Brown literally plays kickball half the time, and he's also awesome. But I mean, that's a frustrating aspect of his game. Is 7 turnovers the other night. He's got more turnovers than assists this year. Jason Tatum missing every single 3, and contested 2s.
Right.
Marcus and his rise. Everybody has inconsistencies. Issues. Like nobody's perfect, and in fact,
that's why they're 500.
And there's some things that Schroeder does really well that they need, and they've needed at points this year, filling in at the starting spot. We might as well kick to the.
It takes a while to get into that circle of trust. It's the same thing that happened with Rob last year. You and everybody would literally just point out to the one thing you do bad in the game.
That's what we do here. We talk about the game and what happens, and we can do that again here. But listen, Rob's a different guy this year than he even was last year, and it was fair to point out the issues he had on defense, and he's brought to the next level. Now you guys like him.
Now you like him.
He's been much better on defense over the last year and change here. Schroeder, it's the same thing. I mean, there are ways that he battles against what they're trying to do offensively, which is a huge problem. And you can look back if they just end up dumping him here as this being wasted.
It is
time
funny too
because of how it's.
Yeah, it is. You know what, John? I didn't think about it until you just said that. Pretty much the last 2 seasons, every free agent signing or guys that were traded here, they've all been trashed by Celtics fans.
Yeah,
pretty
much,
right?
Instantly,
they've been trashed.
The Jeff Teagues. Who else? Who am I missing here?
Tristan.
Tristan
He was awful.
Yeah, this year it's Schroeder.
And let's be real with
Josh
Schroeder.
Richardson is like getting a pass somewhat, but that train might still arrive in a couple of months if this thing drops, if his production drops anywhere. He'll be the next one.
Here's the thing about Schroeder. He was brought here to be the sixth man, to come off the bench. That was supposed to be his role, and he's been terrible at it. When he's gotten the spot starts, he's raised his game, and he's been outstanding in certain situations. But if we were just looking at the healthy unit being here all year and these regular rotations, it would look like a disaster.
I know, but like I said, it's just stack it up. What's the knocks? What's the knock on Dennis? He's sloppy and he's wild or whatever. Okay, he's got about the same amount of turnovers per game as Smart. Assists, they're pretty close in numbers. Scoring,
that's what I agree. I mean, everybody's
obviously greater. And then everyone's like, well, Dennis can't shoot. He's friggin' 45 and 36, and Marcus is 39 and 30. Like, I mean,
not only that, he was the only guy you had access to.
You'll point out that Dennis can't shoot while ignoring, other people's shooting splits.
Yeah, there's context for everybody. I mean, you got to bring that into consideration.
He's not perfect, and he's frustrating as hell. And I don't love the guy at all, but the amount of hate he gets is insane.
It's very strange.
I feel like now I'm forced to love him because nobody else will.
I feel I want to say I'm defending him against.
What we do here.
Hate, not because I like him.
I try to do it too because he hasn't had a bad season. In fact, I think he's had a good season.
Yeah,
he's helped them a lot in a bunch of different situations, and he does give them something they need: someone who can score the ball. They don't have many of those players. They didn't have many backup point guards available to them. So you got to put his season and his role in the context.
And the drop off. And again, this is something that gets lost all the way through. Okay, why are they better? Look, Marcus Smart is better for the team. It shows. But why are they worse in games where Dennis starts and Marcus isn't available? Because there's another 20-something point guard minutes that go to nobody after that, okay? And the drop-off is enormous. And the reason Schroeder was brought in is because the drop-off from what would have been Marcus to Pritchard was enormous, and they didn't want to give Pritchard all of those minutes.
Especially in spot starts. We've seen Pritchard in spot starts.
Why does Dennis have good numbers in starts, but the Celtics record isn't as good when Marcus isn't there? Well, because there's nobody behind him, and so there's a big void and a big gap there. And that's what ends up happening a ton is there's literally nothing. So that's why you brought him. You brought him because what would have happened if he wasn't here?
Now here's the problem.
You think they would have survived this with Pritchard playing all of this time, 20-something minutes a game? I don't know, man.
Here's the problem, though, John. They've been trying to get rid of him for a month. So what does that say?
That says he was never really brought in to do anything other than to offer a little early season Band-Aid so they wouldn't embarrass themselves. But at the first sign of not real contention, he's an easy chop because he's going to get you under the tax and he's a small salary and he's very easy to deal. So, I mean, whatever. You knew that. If you can package him together and get rid of Horford as well, all the better. This is what I'm worried. They're not only going to sell him, they're going to sell him along with Al and another pick or something just to get the money out of here or something. So that's
disastrous.
That's my concern. That's my concern is giving away stuff just to give away money. And it's a different story if you're doing it to get under a point where you'll be able to afford a free agent, but to do it just to save money under the tax when you're not at risk of going into the repeater next year or anything, it's just money. It doesn't make sense. And it feels like that's what's happening.
If they just dump Schroeder, it's a waste of time. Who cares about the 48-point game and the extra win or two that he saved you there? It was just a waste of time. You spent half the year not playing Pritchard. He didn't get an ounce of development. You dumped Schroeder and got nothing for him.
Well,
so what was the point?
That's what worries me the most is, let's say, for example, if there was, there's another, story today about how he's just definitely gone and everyone's just counting down the days. But if option one is trade Schroeder and take on something you don't necessarily love that might affect you tax-wise, but will give you something of value in return, like a first-round pick or something that you like, and you could do that, but you won't be able to get under the tax line. Or option B is nothing. Somebody you can buy out that's less money and will get you under the tax line, but you get nothing in return, but you're clean. You got a clean sheet, and they take B. That sucks. And that's what I'm afraid is going to happen is they're not going to try to roll him up into something a little bit better and get a little uncomfortable by taking on extra salary or whatever. They're just going to trade him just to save the money. And that if there's another option there to get something to accumulate assets, you have to do that because you've burned so many of them just to save money right now. It's insane.
I'm waiting to see. I mean, if that's really what it ends up being, then yeah, there's reason to be upset for sure. And we've gone on this show, even last season, joking that, if we should start a GoFundMe for Wick so that we don't have to deal with these types of moves, we'll do it. Because apparently we have the poorest owner in all of professional sports, and he's more concerned with a couple of bucks in the back pocket than he is. Yeah, so if we have to do a GoFundMe for Wick and company, then we'll do it because the Celtics fans deserve better than ownership that only cares about the bottom line and not wins and losses. So we'll see. I mean, I'm not gonna jump the gun on it. I'll wait and see what they end up doing. But yeah, if they end up, like you guys say, just dumping them to shave a couple bucks off, and they get obviously worse, and they don't get anything that has to do with the future involved, then yeah, it's a joke. And I said a few weeks ago, I want to hear from Wick. Where is this guy? What's he doing? Because you can't just
He's
hide.
in Washington.
Whenever they're he's
I'd
in
be
Washington, but
surprised
he
that
didn't say
happens
anything.
though.
He was all over the place when things were going well. He was puffing his chest out and this, that, and that thing.
Yeah, look at me.
Couldn't get away from the guy. Oh, fireworks and everything. And now, he's
fireworks.
probably got some
He's
other
never
business
gonna live that
ventures.
down. Yo.
Is he
He's
still
never
even?
gonna live that down.
Maybe I'm just missing the Wick cutaway cams, but is he? You used to get 100 of them a game.
I
He
haven't
used to
seen
show
him
up to
at
the games. I
Garden.
don't know if he's there.
Yeah,
Is he
I
there?
gotta look harder, but I haven't seen him at the Garden all year, really.
Bobby,
He spoke to somebody. He said, "Don't put me."
Bike
I've been
watch
too
is
busy
now
with the
Wick
bike
watch.
watch. Yeah,
Bike watch is now Wick watch, everybody.
Bike watch, okay?
Yeah.
You got two jobs.
bike watch is a given. I mean, how many times was he over there tonight? We don't even have to watch anymore. We can just assume it. So, we'll turn the Wick cam.
He was there. He was there a lot
postgame.
tonight.
I didn't see it. Oh yeah, he was there a couple of times, but I do want to swing back to the Smart thing for a second here, just because Horford postgame said we just have to be more focused than ever. I feel like right now in our locker room, Blank is the one that's really setting the tone with that. He's really keeping everybody focused, telling us we need to be focused, we need to be locked in. Who is Blank?
Shorter.
Marcus.
Jalen,
not Marcus.
no one.
I thought he'd throw him a bone.
Wow, Josue, Bobby tricked you.
No one is giving.
Wow.
So again, we talked about this. Ime did though, Bobby. Were you in the pregame?
Al's already shown his alliance. Wow.
Yeah.
See that?
He is team Jalen. Oh, we lost you, John.
Oh, we lost John. Yeah, Ime gave kind of a mellow endorsement of Smart post game, and he's been doing that all year. Like every time he gets asked about Smart, it's just kind of he does those things, and we expect him to do them. I forget the exact thing he said today off the top of my head. When we get John back, he'll bring that up. But yeah, it's Marcus endorsing himself right now, and no one else really seconding it. Whether it's the coach or whether it's the players around him. No one even coming out. And this might be nothing. Maybe Smart just fell behind or something. But when they're walking out of the locker room, big huddle, everybody's going crazy. Bruno's got the boom box, and they all run out. And Smart's kind of behind them. He came like a second later when they were running out of the locker room pregame. I do wonder just how much cohesion there is between the rest of the locker room. We're clearly together. I think Brown and Tatum, they're not best friends, but they're on the same page. And everybody else kind of follows their lead, and is Smart just on his own island right now? I think it's a fair question.
So, Bobby, you Smart 22 or you Jalen 22? Which one are you?
I'm all for Smart. I think he's the guy who tells them the stuff that they don't want to hear, and that probably rubs them the wrong way. But what stuck out to you about Ime's comment pregame?
Conversation.
No, it wasn't stuck out. I'm just saying you were in on it. I didn't know the context, but it sounded like he was asked specifically about Smart, and the reason he was asked about it was specifically because of that article that came out in The Athletic.
No, it was
trust.
It was about his playmaking.
That's it? So he wasn't questioned specifically about that?
No, it was just about whether they wanted him to do a little more playmaking, and he was just like, yeah, we like the things he does, and he should continue.
So that was written about and nobody asked him?
Not that I've caught.
Okay.
Well, here's another angle. I mean, so Bobby, the quote that you read, that was Al talking about going out of his way to commend Jalen.
Yeah.
What's that say about Tatum? We're all talking about Smart, but he's saying that Jalen's the one in the locker room that's setting the tone. He's really keeping everybody. Sorry, I can't read. He's really keeping everybody focused, telling us we need to be focused. We need to lock in. So it sounds like Jaylen Brown is taking I don't know. It sounds like more of a leadership role than maybe Tatum, based on that one quote. Now,
Well,
there
we
could
know
be other
where
quotes
Tatum's
floating
at.
around.
Tatum doesn't step up as a vocal leader. He just kind of does his thing and makes the plays, and everybody's supposed to be in line. But when it comes to the vocal aspect, he's on the bike.
He's got something right. Yeah. Yeah.
And he's talked about this. See, he's been kind of defiant in his leadership style. I know you've criticized it, Jimmy, maybe fair or not. He says, I'm going to be the lead by example guy, and that's how I'm going to do it, and that's who I am.
Yeah.
And he doesn't want to take advice or feedback on any other way that he can do it. He's very defiant.
He said outright, if you were named captain, what would you do different? He said nothing. And it's like, oh, well, that defeats the purpose, because the idea was that you were
right.
We were going to give it to you so you would act differently. And so you imagine if he was captain, would he still ride the bike?
Probably.
Yeah.
You think?
I mean, it would just be something they yell out in the warm-ups or in the introduction.
You think anything would stop his routine with basketball? Look, I'm not saying that as like a bad thing, but I just Tatum strikes me as the type of, he has his routine, he's going to do what he wants to do, whatever he needs to do to make himself comfortable.
It sounds like robots are fighting each other behind you.
Yeah. No, I'm with Josue. I don't think anything changes. I mean, I don't think you need this seed.
It's like the future.
It's like Bobby's in some future universe. There's a huge robot fight going on.
That's what's gonna happen. They're gonna be robots taking the court apart in like 15 years. Not even.
I know. It's sad.
Anyway,
all those guys are gonna be out of a job.
I mean, here's the thing, though. Like, there's the world you want and the world that you live in. Okay, the world you live in is Jason Tatum. You don't need him to be anything other than a guy who's like a dead-eye scorer and friggin' focused out there, and he does his thing. And if he's never going to be that leader, so be it. Like, is Kawhi Leonard a vocal leader? Like, not everybody's got to be that guy, right? There are lead by example guys. There are quiet guys, and command respect through their work ethic and through whatever. So you don't have to be that. Tim Duncan, there's a lot of guys who fit that mold. So
here's the problem in Boston.
I'm not worried about it. I do think camaraderie matters. So just being around people,
you need a mix, though, John.
He doesn't need to. You need a mix, but it doesn't have to be Tatum. Like, I don't need him to be that guy. But you do want people to feel like he's one of them and not apart from them. And that's my main concern with the bike. But I don't need him in there friggin' screaming at people and pumping his chest out.
No, it was like the Brad thing. You didn't want Brad throwing chairs. Yeah. And so that was the issue. Even back to Brad. Brad had his conciliatory approach. Tatum quietly lead by example. Brown, pretty similar, kind of a quiet, keep to himself type of guy, and Smart, someone who's been loud in people's face and critical. And what we've heard through the Athletics reporting is that they haven't responded well to that. So if someone's going to do it and it's Smart and they're not responding well to it, that's a problem. Everyone can't just be on their own, leading their own example, and it plays out on the court, right? Everybody's doing their own thing. Everybody's contributing individually, but nothing connects and no one holds each other accountable. There was an interesting point in the Athletic article last year, too, that Smart was the one who was all about defensive accountability last year. And the guy that he was missing to back him up was Horford. And now Horford's back, and you see the connectivity and accountability on the defensive end of the floor again. But there was never a strong desire to respond to the way Smart was trying to get across to everybody. And that's a problem to me, because that style of leadership that Smart brings to me is necessary for this group. And for them to just kind of blow it off is, I think, indicative of where they're at.
Here's the thing, though, just to paint a different outlook. Fine, let's say Smart took a shot at the throne, right? I'm the leader, follow me, and it didn't work. Fine, if he's figured that out and accepted the fact that I'm not going to be that guy, I'm just going to kind of play within myself, do it all on the court, be a straight effort guy, stop barking at people.
But then who's the leader? Nobody.
I'm saying not call people out after the fact because it isn't working, and I'll just play my role and I'll be on my best behavior and please don't trade me. Fine. If that's the case, like he might change. He might realize, okay, I'm not the guy I thought I was, or they're not responding the way they thought. That's not the worst thing in the world because it's bad if it's overbearing and if he's in people's face and they're like, dude, enough, you know? So if it didn't take for whatever reason and he's realized it, that's fine. If Jalen's doing it behind the scenes and someone like Al Horford's going to point to him as the guy who's keeping them focused, fine. You be the guy. That's fine. As long as somebody's holding them to
at least
account,
there's somebody.
you know?
Yeah.
So
I think
who cares who? You know, you want to believe that somebody cares and somebody's in a
I don't
position
care who it
of
is as long as
authority to be
everybody
able to
else
grab
buys
guys
in.
and be like, let's go, let's get it going, guys. You know, who cares? We
and I don't
thought it
think
was
Marcus
because go ahead, Josue.
But no, I also don't think Marcus is the type of player that's going to be, distracted or think to him or is going to affect his play if he feels like someone else is grabbing the mantle. I just think he's the type of guy. If no one else is going to speak up, he's not going to think twice to be that guy. But if Jalen's doing it, I don't think Smart's the type of guy to be like, oh, okay, well, I'm supposed to be the captain of this team. No, he's going to embrace that. He's going to say whatever.
Well, it is good to hear Jalen
get everyone
doing it, right?
To get everyone on the same page.
Yeah.
But what about Jalen's IG post?
Hold on, can I tell you one thing that's funny? And
think?
just before we get into
I
this,
can't even.
Yeah.
Low key, one of my favorite aspects of this show over the years is the amount of people who freak out when we don't talk about Jaylen Brown when he scores, when he scores, when he has decent games. It is legitimately, it's Matt Damon on Jimmy Kimmel's show. Like he just always gets bumped, like it's like a bit at this point. Like, and the more I see it in the chat, the more I'm like, I'm not even going to mention Jalen because it's just like
we didn't even think about it.
It makes you not want to bring it up, right?
And we brought him up as the leader.
No, because it becomes like
he did have a huge game.
I just want to keep the bit going. Yeah,
totally.
Yeah,
he did have a huge game, and that was talking to Jalen. That's it. Yeah. All right.
That's it.
Yeah,
that was Jalen. Let's move on. I need to see more. I need to see more Sam Hauser.
What happened to Pritchard late in the fourth?
Let's flip that conversation though. Yes, it's concerning that Smart's not being co-signed as the leader there, but is it good that Jalen's taking a stab at it? Because I haven't heard that from him before.
It's very good. All year we've been saying nobody wants to be a leader. Nobody wants to be a captain. There's nobody to steer the ship, right? I've been saying that 100 times. So if it's Jaylen Brown, then it's Jaylen Brown. Great. Now, other people have to fall in line and buy into that. So if they do, great. If Marcus Smart's cool with that, if Tatum's cool with that, great. They need somebody, like you guys said. It's better to have one person than nobody, which is what it felt to start this season, and I think that showed throughout when you have nobody to sort of look to.
They don't have to be best friends, but they got to be on the same page, and that's what I wrote about with Smart too. I love Smart. I think he could be a solution. I think he brings many of the things they need. But let's say no one in the room buys into it and no one's connected with him. Just an assumption there, hypothetical. Then you have to move on.
Then what you saw is this season.
This league's about the stars. It's about the talent. The intangibles help. The identity, the Heat culture, that kind of stuff, it helps. But it's about the stars, and it's about what works for them and what gels with them and what they want ultimately. Like, they're always going to end up getting the say at the end of the day. So if there's a staleness to Smart's approach, so it's just never going to work, then you're just going to kind of be punching a wall with him at some point. And, it's hard to measure, right? We can't pull out the stats on how Smart's gelling with the team internally and how they're responding to him in tough moments. But you can read it a little bit, right? Through the reporting, through the fourth quarters and his role in those, and him asking for bigger opportunities in those situations. Even early in the year when he was sort of just on an island. Remember when he called everybody out after the Chicago game and everyone was just like, yeah, it would be better if he didn't do that.
Yep.
Jalen said that, yeah.
Yeah, so that's what is hard for me to read. I want Smart here. I think he's part of the solution, but I don't know if everyone has just tuned him out completely. And if they have, that's when you have to make a move just to make a move per se, because it's the mix.
Yeah, but it's not like it's a mutiny. Do you think it's gotten to that point?
I don't
I'm not sure
know.
it's reached
No,
that
it's
point. I
not.
mean,
It's not. It's just like it's that guy who's talking, and you're just like, and you just kind of,
yeah,
it doesn't resonate.
And
You
that's a
just kind of,
problem too, John, even if it's not a mutiny, because the value in him would be people responding to that. And if they're just like, all right, it's kind of the same thing as
it
a
doesn't
mutiny, right?
matter
it's
though.
just
You
about
know
the
what though?
consistency. It's just about the consistency. Just keep the
What,
campaign rolling. If Marcus keeps this going, I think all is forgiven. But
yeah,
again, that doesn't. If he's traded
You're
in
right,
2 weeks,
Josue.
that
not
everything's
Yeah.
over,
everybody.
right?
Not
So
everybody has the vibe. You don't have to love it. As long as you like what he's doing out there, that's fine. But you know what's
yeah,
funny is like it's not just those things. Like even Al tonight, in addition to saying Jalen's our guy, when asked about Marcus Smart, his quote was like, Marcus needs to keep doing, like it's like what Marcus needs to keep pushing the pace and keep doing these things. It's like it's an interesting way to phrase it. Instead of saying Marcus
right.
has been great for us, he's everything we could want for, he's our floor general. It's as Marcus needs to keep doing
That's
this in
that's
order
that's
to
the
have his
exact point.
value. Yeah.
Yeah, because I think the frustration in Smart internally is that he says to do things to other people that he doesn't necessarily always do. He
That's
doesn't
been the
hold
thing.
himself to account.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you remember the moment where he threw the ball over the basket last year from half court, and Kemba was like, "What the hell is that?" And then Smart got mad at Kemba for calling him out. Smart, I wrote early in the year when he was struggling, like he's got to be able to be accountable too. So it's great that he's playing the right way right now. But you're right, John. He has to always do that. He has to always hone in on his role and what his part in this offense is going to be. The problem is that he still, as you hear through the article this week, thinks he could do more. Like, is this the sweet spot for him? And the fourth quarter's got to be the Brown and Tatum show? Or is it true that he could do more?
But that's
That's
the
where I'm
thing.
kind of caught up.
The psychology of Marcus Smart is always like he's kind of thought he's more of a star. Like when he's asked, like, when people remember, was it last year? People asked him about his shooting, and he's like, "You're shooting less." He's like, "Why? I'm a good shooter." Like coming out of college, he viewed himself as a scorer. And there's a there's a guy in there, not just a guy in there, through almost every year of his career. I think he's thought he can do the things that he has not done at a high level in the NBA, and he just keeps shooting. He loves 3-pointers, but 3-pointers don't love him. He shoots like a shooter, but they just don't go in. He goes to the basket and tries to create his own offense, and it's not his forte. He's terrible around the rim. Just none of that stuff has been good at any point in his NBA career, save for one outlier season. He shot around 36% from three. Otherwise, he's 31 for his career. He's just a bad shooter, but in his mind, he's not, and he's always been that way. So like he'd have to really have a total, epiphany to figure out, I really just got to be that 5 to 6 field goal a day. I got to be Draymond, like I got to just not worry about scoring ever and do everything else. I got to be Rodman. Rodman wasn't looking for offense. He's like, I'm insanely good at defense and rebounding, and I'm going to do it so freaking well that I'm going to impact the game just by doing that. If Marcus Smart just did those things, I don't think people would have an issue. It's because he's like, hey, I can score too. And that's what's driven people nuts over the years. Or, throw careless passes, be a little creative, the mental lapses from time to time,
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, I don't think he's holding some people to account, but he's freestyling on his own. That's obviously, from everything we've heard, kind of bugged people along the way.
People don't like that. Right. Yeah. I think that's it.
The mix question's still interesting to me. Like, is it the right mix? And that's sort of a question that's hard to judge on the court or just from the outside. Like, is it just the fact that these guys don't mesh together all that well? That's always the hardest thing to say about a team. And, you can succeed in spite of not meshing together well. But when a team isn't playing well, going on a couple of years and looks disconnected on the court, that's when you start to ask those questions. If I'm just talking on the court, I think Smart's part of this going forward. The tricky thing is that you don't have anything else to really give up. Like, Rob is kind of ascended past Smart in terms of the hierarchy in the core, right? Just because of all the special things he can do, the growth that he can continue to achieve, and the special things, frankly, that he's capable of at the same time, like the traits that he has that no one else really has at that position. So Smart's still kind of that guy where it's like, all right, what can you do with him here? What's the trade-off of having him versus letting him go? It's not about upgrading as a point guard, I think, still, because you can't trade Smart for a better point guard in my eyes. There might be something this offseason that comes up in that regard, but I don't see it right now. What you're asking is that Herter-Smart trade-off. A wing who can score a little more and be more offensive, or an organizer like Smart who's a defensive guy and keeps everybody in the right position. I still lean Smart in that trade-off.
That's the problem, is the math is hard, right? Like, what are you giving up when you lose Marcus's defense? And are you gaining enough?
That's very underrated in the conversation.
Are you gaining enough of it on offense? Like, and again, if we're gonna sit here and just throw numbers around, which everybody loves to do, the reality is the net rating is much higher with Marcus on the court and that kind of that defensive unit. But offense, like I said, everyone loves their stats. The offensive rating, Schroeder is better with the other four starters in terms of offensive rating than Smart. And everybody hates Schroeder. And the assumption is that the offense stalls every time he's out there. But the offensive rating is 7 points higher with Schroeder on the court and the rest of the starters than it is Smart. So the reality is there's another level that the offense could go if you grabbed someone even better than that. But how much are you losing on defense? The reality is you're losing a lot with Schroeder on defense. So it's not even a question that Smart's better overall for the team. But can something else work somewhere else that's giving you more offense that you can account for that loss of defense in Smart there? It's a weird one, you know, and again, at a different position. If you lost Smart right now and you had to just live with Schroeder and Pritchard as your point guards, you'd be in a lot of trouble.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
A lot of trouble this year, you know, even if you got a dead eye shooter in the wing, they can't survive with those two guys.
I think that's what scares the Celtics for going into the trade deadline, right? I mean, we talked about
you'd give up on this year if you traded Smart. Yeah.
Right. You give up on this year, but also, do you get another point guard in that trade? Bobby, we talked about it a little bit in DC. I mean, maybe not, though. And if you do, you're definitely not going to get someone that's better than Marcus. John, I know that's not how trades work. I'm going to say that right now. But no, I mean, there's just so many. It's slim pickings, you know, and I know there's a lot of great point guards out there, but I just think when you look at the financial, structure the Celtics are and less than 2 weeks away from the deadline and the assets they have, they're in a tough spot to trade for a point guard that could carry this team into the playoffs.
You could, Josue, if it's like I said, you have a shot at strength for strength deal. If a team is like, we need to get much tougher and grittier and better on defense, and we've got offense to spare, and we'll send this guy to you. Yeah, there's trades that do benefit both teams. I just don't see that right now. I'm
talking about from addressing that point guard position, though. I just don't see a deal where they get someone that's going to be, let's say, okay, he's not as good as Marcus Smart at that spot. But is this guy going to be good enough to carry this team, to carry
That's how I feel right
like
now.
Tatum and Brown?
That's how I feel right now. In the offseason, might be different. I mean, the guy everybody thinks about is Brunson.
Could definitely be different. Yeah,
so
for sure.
You think of a guy like Brunson who's on the come up, who's improving year in and year out, who might have, I don't want to say star upside, but excellent scoring upside. I mean, he's just given Dallas a little bit of everything at a lead guard spot.
Yeah, he's phenomenal, right?
Is that a guy you bring in here, give more opportunity, and all of a sudden he blossoms into a borderline or even a star? I think that's the kind of thing you have to look at with Smart in the offseason. Because, again, he's all you can give up. You're not giving up Rob. You're not giving up Brandon Tatum. For some reason, this team still seems hesitant about giving up the picks. We'll see how that plays out over the next year or so here. So Smart's the guy you have to look at, kind of finding the diamond in the rough. Are the Kings willing to listen on a Tyrese Halliburton or a Brunson in Dallas, or just somebody that hasn't hit their stride? And if you flip Smart, who looks a little bit better than that player now and can help some of their defensive issues in a Sacramento or a Dallas, and you end up taking the guy who has some upside and lets it play out with opportunity here, I think that's the solution to the Smart thing come the offseason. If there's any. Either that or you find a guy who's much better and really trade up into a John Collins or someone at a different position by using picks and a bunch of other stuff. Those are the two trades I think that Smart makes sense in. A Herter, a Barnes, I don't know. I don't think so.
Well, what about Ingles? He just tore his ACL. Do you want the Celtics to trade for him now?
No. the timing's off there now.
Because no,
that wouldn't make sense. All right. Well, we were
Wait,
in
who's the
disguise
guy?
prior.
Who's the guy
Rubio.
who had the ACL that you wanted? I forget.
Rubio.
That's
Which
right,
I
that's right.
understood.
Rubes.
I understand that.
Hey, now that
you
we're
know how I
talking-
feel about guys with torn ACLs. I say get all of them.
Now that we're talking dumping Schroeder,
Tear them
Clean
all.
tear, right? It's a
Tear 'em
clean
all.
tear, yeah.
Clean tear.
now that we're talking about dumping Schroeder for nothing,
Good as new.
that is crazy to me.
It's a bummer. Now, you know what sucks now is like between the Achilles tendinopathy. And by the way, tendinopathy is a brand new word. It didn't exist until 3 months ago. Everybody's
know,
You
right?
just
What
said
is
that. You said that perfectly too. Well done, John. No
Yeah,
hesitation.
Tendinopathy.
When
What
that
is it,
first
John?
appeared with Rob, we were like, "What is this?" We thought it was something weird or bad.
It
that
used to
could
be
knock out, like, part of
tendinitis.
his
Now it's
season.
tendinopathy. It's brand new.
Yeah.
Okay.
Is it worse
It's
or
great.
better than tendinitis? It sounds
It's
worse.
the same freaking thing. Anyway,
Yeah, it just sounds
but between-
fancier, but it sounds like the same
between
thing.
that, burying him on the bench and then reminding everybody what sucks about him, you know, like, hey, let me showcase the suckiest version of this guy before we trade him. I mean, this is terrible. Right before when Smart was down, Schroeder had that streak of like, you know, five of 6 games where he was playing well. He got asked that question by Gary, and he's like, "What are you talking about, man?
Yeah.
I've been
Yeah.
good." And
do
then
you
That's
he's
the
want?
one time I scored a point, all right? It's the one
He's
time
like,
I finished with 1 point.
come
Why are you
on,
bringing
man.
that up? Yeah.
You know, I've been
Yeah.
good, and he was really good for the entire month of January until Marcus came back. He went back to the bench, and he's been terrible the last
The
5
starter
games.
bench splits with him are unreal.
It's incredible. The starter bench splits are incredible, and now
The Washburn curse.
everyone's seeing this version of him, and like you're almost
Well, listen, John.
guaranteed now
Everybody
that-
knows the contract situation. Everyone knows who he is. He's been in the league almost
Fair
a
enough.
decade now. So
If
nothing
we
was
could-
changing off some nice performances.
Well, then why don't we agree that every time Smart has a good game, you know?
I'm not saying Smart's
Yeah,
the most
right.
valuable
I
trade
know,
asset
right?
in the league now. That didn't change.
Got
that.
him.
I'm saying internally.
That's a good call. Bob's
I've
like, fuck.
I've always thought that
You
Smart
got me
has
there.
more trade value than John does.
Maybe he
does.
will, but at the end of the season, like that trade stock isn't going up between now.
Listen,
and
looking
February,
back
man.
at it, John, don't you think they could have gotten Aaron Gordon for him? You were very hesitant at the time, thinking that could be possible. But looking at what Orlando
I
ultimately
did
got,
not-
Smart would have been
yeah.
good. Smart would have helped the Magic. You know, he would help a team like that.
Yeah.
You know, a team that's trying to build an identity and establish themselves around some
They
young
got
guys. I mean,
Gordon
he'd be the
2.0
leader in that
though.
locker room immediately.
They
Who's
got
that?
Jabari Parker.
Oh yeah. Now, that's the move in the tax conversation that we underrate. They dump Wancho. They cut Parker for no reason, really, just to save like a little bit of money.
Has
there.
anyone
Yeah.
checked in to see if he's alive?
Like
Yeah.
Wick
I
had,
think it was like $1.5 million, dude.
Wick had like an expensive dinner. He's like, damn it, cut Parker.
They had a date by which they had to cut him to save that money.
Yeah, dude.
And
He's
honestly,
like, I'm
spent-
going
he
to grill
spent too much-
23 tonight. Cut Parker.
he could have
spent
been
too much on a
averaging like
client.
22 and 10, and they still would have cut him before that
Totally.
date. So
Yeah, absolutely. He's like, I got
hey,
Christmas
is it
gifts.
my alarm went off? What was that for? Oh yeah, cut Parker.
yeah. Oh shit! I only have 5 minutes. I hit the snooze button.
Oh,
Get ready,
crap. Cut him.
This fires up the app. Cut.
I know,
Listen,
the NBA owner app.
Yeah.
Given
It's like fantasy basketball. Just fire it up.
get ready, guys. What is it? 10 days. If we're talking in 10 days from now, all the Celtics did with all the help they need and the different steps they have to take to get back to contention, cutting Parker, dumping Wancho, and dumping Schroeder, that's all they do this deadline. Oh man, we're really gonna be having the Wick show.
Oh god.
Hey, maybe
We're
it's
gonna
not a
get Wick.
dump,
We're gonna
though.
get Wick on the show.
Maybe they consolidate. You know, maybe they bring back a couple.
That's what I want to see. But
Every
That means
one
they're
of
all
my
in. If that happens, then that means they're all in. That means they're. I don't think they believe it's going to be a championship team, but they're giving them the best roster that they can.
here's the thing, Josue, you can do that. You can make an aggressive move right now, send out money. Maybe you have to involve picks or something here, but you can improve your team while staying under the tax. Everybody in the league does
but
that.
they're going to be expired deals, though. You know, and I think that's what makes
Maybe.
it harder.
I don't know what
That makes it
exactly it
harder.
would be, but
I don't see them trading for somebody that's going to keep them under the guy's going to be under the books for the next year or two. It's going to be for guys who are expired.
Powell, Heald. I mean, there's guys that are signed multiple years. You can stay under the tax by sending out money.
Powell actually is an interesting one. Powell's interesting.
To just dump money is not productive to where they're at.
You guys are loving these comments. It's pretty funny.
That's a good one.
Someone said we talked about Max Struss more than we talked about Jalen.
That is damn funny.
Oh shit.
Max Struess, 9 of 17.
I mean,
excuse me.
We did a Jalen ship for a bit.
We did.
We did.
Well, hold on, Bobby.
Did Jalen play tonight? How did he do?
Didn't Max? Wasn't it going to be a two-way? And then Max wasn't Max like, no, I'm good. I don't want a two-way. Isn't that what happened?
I think that's always a consideration, but
I want to say Max was like, no, I can make a team. So I'm like, no. I think he said no.
Taco even had the two-way over him, but that sounds right because most players look at it that way.
Right. So, I mean, he knew what he had in himself. You know, he was confident.
We did.
What do you
really did.
What do you say about Jalen right now? Like,
We really did.
Like, what do we do here? What do you drop?
Every time Jalen plays well, though, we say, "Well, I mean, what can we say? I mean, what can we say? He played well. He's supposed to play well."
We had a semantic argument over the word phenomenal for like 10 minutes.
We really did.
It does say something, though. I mean, does Brown surprise us much?
Oh crap! That's the point, guys. Again, when Tatum
He does surprise us in a bad way sometimes.
Exactly. They either have to score 50 or they have to have a 9 turnover game. When they just score 25 and 30, it's just another day at the office for them, you know?
Right.
For Tatum and Brown.
Congrats on your average.
Okay, ready? Jalen was good tonight. But Jimmy, your turn.
Discuss. You're right, John. I thought he was pretty good. He hit a couple of good shots and he made a couple of nice moves to the hoop.
Bobby, he did.
Or if he dropped like 17 in one quarter, okay. Like, but geez,
he hit a game-winning shot, saved their game.
Yeah.
He has to be right. They beat a team by 30. Who cares if you score 20 or 22 or 26 points? You know, like it's his job. He does it every night.
Right.
You know,
you dropped 26 and Jimmy sat on the bench. Like, what do you want? A crown for it?
Yeah.
Butler was out. Lowry was out. Congrats, you went in on Max Struss.
Right.
Here's what Brown's done.
Over
the last 2 months here, he did have a stretch where he ramped up the assists. He was in a big playmaking role. He faltered.
Brown?
He faltered.
What happened is he forgot how to dribble. Is what happened.
No, but he did have some resilient performances, like the closing stretch
He
against
had some
Indiana.
phenomenal ones too.
Yeah, so
phenomenal.
He was making strides.
He's been phenomenal.
He was making strides here with the playmaking that were surprising. But over the last week or two here, they've gotten away from that. You know, have you really noticed Brown's playmaking at all in the last week or two
honestly,
here?
it's better when he's not. It's better
He
when
dominated Kyle Guy today, everybody. You happy?
And this might be the sweet spot for him, John. Setting him up and letting him be a finisher rather than an initial creator.
It's that's better for him. But he was good. He was good. We talked about.
You want to talk about? You want to talk about Jalen? You can talk about his weird Instagram posts, but I don't even know where to start with that, so I'm not doing it.
I got nothing to say.
The commenters can try to decipher.
It's weird.
I'm not doing it because I don't.
Can
I don't
just
care
say it's
enough
weird?
to do it.
But it's weird.
Right?
Right?
I guess it's just a thing.
There's a lot of Kyrie in his social media game, man.
Yes, it's very cryptic.
Yes, that's actually spot on. I don't like that.
See, by trying to decipher,
I know.
Oh, you're trying to figure it out.
We're doing exactly what he wants us to do. So we're not going to do it because I don't even care. I don't care. Just play basketball. Win the games. That's what we want. So
crap.
I guess if it motivates them, I don't know.
Maybe.
But who's the captain? Who's he referring to?
I'm the captain now.
He's talking about.
Maybe that's what he's trying to say. Maybe that's what he's trying to say.
Maybe.
I've literally been crying for the last 15 minutes. Phenomenal.
The energy is about to change. That was another tweet today.
He's talking about the All-Star break. His plans.
The energy is about to change.
Oh yeah.
What he's gonna do? I'm trying to figure out my All-Star break plans. What are we gonna do during All-Star break?
Who's going, John? You sending Bobby to All-Star? Or are you sending Josue and Bobby to All-Star game or what?
Sure. Why doesn't everybody go?
Cleveland.
Fine, I'll
We're going
come.
somewhere
Cleveland. I
warm.
think I'm good. I don't know.
Oh,
We're gonna go somewhere warm and do a live broadcast.
I spent like 7 nights in Cleveland during that LCS when they played a 2-3-2, and there were like 2 games in between 2 of those.
Man.
Oh, what a horrible friggin'!
I've never been to Cleveland. I can't say I'm missing it, but I will say this: I have been to Columbus. Went to Ohio State, Michigan. That was a nice time.
Oh, that sounds
Cincinnati.
good.
Cincinnati looks like a blast.
Yeah,
I might have to go check out Cincinnati.
Center of the football
world.
Shout out
to Trags.
Shout out Trags, absolutely.
CLNS is at the Super Bowl again. Yes.
How great is it that Trags just up and went to Cincinnati, and then like a year later he's covering the team going to the Super Bowl?
They were.
I mean, we had him on our show. We had him on our show after he quote unquote retired. I thought from
we did
the media landscape, but this guy's going to the Super Bowl now. I mean, it's unbelievable. I'm happy for Trags, and I've actually become a bit of a Bengals fan because obviously everyone's following Trags on Twitter, so you're just following the Bengals.
Trags is covering a BC. Trags covered a BCS bowl bid college football
Cincinnati,
team this year. He went to all of those games, and then he's he's going to the Super Bowl. He's going to be filing reports for CLNS as well. So we do have a reporter at the Super Bowl, which is awesome.
It's going to be great. There's going to be some Patriots angles at the Super Bowl.
All of any Bengals fans out there, all of Trag's Bengals material is on CLNS Media. I know we're mainly Boston sports, but Trag's been covering Cincinnati sports all year. He still has a home at CLNS. All of his written content is at clnsmedia.com if you want to check it out. Follow him next 2 weeks.
He's got a podcast.
He's going to be all over it, and he's going to be at the Super Bowl filing reports both on the game and any Patriots-related news. So,
dude, I mean, you know what it's like. Super Bowl week. It's not even about the game half the time. It's celebrities, former athletes, current athletes, all showing up. It's going to be in L.A. I mean, we might see Trags on page 6 for all I know if he's out there long enough.
We've talked more about Mike Petraglia than we've talked about Jaylen Brown.
Totally, dude. Shout out Trags. We might have to get Trags on for a little cameo one of these shows.
Yeah. No, he's going to jump on. He's going to do some stuff on us for our Patriots programming from out in the Super Bowl, which is going to be pretty cool. And he's going to file daily reports for us. He's going to be out there all week long. So I'm actually pretty psyched about that.
Trags for Trags,
LA. But yeah. We lost Josue, so we might as well call it. It's not a show.
Maybe you'll find out whether Brady's retiring.
Yeah, he's done. He's done. But anyway,
I'm not ready to talk about that. I am not ready to talk about that.
I know.
So I will not.
I've never seen anybody shut down.
I had to take Saturday's show off to mourn.
I've never seen anybody shut down like you did after the Rams drove there, Jimmy, and kicked that field goal.
That was heartbreaking.
Good thing you didn't know what was coming.
I just can't believe how they blew that coverage. I don't even want to think about how badly they blew that coverage. That was an Arians.
Bad, man.
Good thing you didn't know what was coming days later.
Nope.
That was bad. Anyway, all right, we're waiting for Fuzzy's final thought. What's Fuzzy's final thought? Guys, let's wrap it. Final thoughts. We've said plenty.
I'm going to defer. I don't even have any final thoughts. I mean, it was a good win against a team that you needed to have. I'm not even going to say it was a good win. It was a good win because of how much they won by. So I'm happy that they were able to do it. Nice thought. Good final thought.
Yeah, the schedule is going to get tougher again here coming up. So we'll kind of get to see if it's real or not. Starting Wednesday with the Hornets, and that was a game they blew pretty bad a couple weeks ago here. So that's a get-right opportunity. Then it's what Detroit, Orlando before it does get tough. So you're going to come out of this stretch here with like probably 11 wins over the last 16 or 17. They're going to rise through the standings, but then can you get a –
This is your prediction?
Denver, Atlanta, Philly. That's where it gets tricky. Yeah, they're going to – listen, I think they'll beat the Hornets minus Hayward. I shared that record with and without Hayward, that the Hornets have been pretty built around whether he's there or not. And then just two brutal teams, Detroit, Orlando, that you can walk through there. So I'm glad the schedule is kind of ending up like this, John, because if you do just roll through the deadline, you probably start to think about buying again, right? Whether you think it's real or fake or they'll fizzle out after. If you go into the deadline with some real momentum, Brad probably does start to think a little more aggressively, doesn't he?
It again, what we don't know and what we've never known and what we won't know, because I don't think anybody's going to crack it. I don't think any reporter's going to get it. I don't think anybody's going to press for it. And I don't think we'll ever really know is whether or not top down from ownership, Brad's been told outright, no.
Yeah.
Like nothing, not a buck, not a dollar. Come
Right.
to me with any
Are
deal.
you allowed to do anything?
But if he's not allowed to do anything, then there's really no point. And it's almost like, oh, come on, Josue. Makes it back for final thoughts. He went out and bought a new router.
Yeah.
Is he on yet? I've been.
He wanted to come back to say he loved us.
Can you see him? I can't see him. Is he on?
I can't see anything.
Hold on. I've been so glitchy tonight. There he is.
Hey.
What's up, Smiley?
Hey,
I see him now. He's back. He's back.
I was in charge.
You had
Fuzzy.
something very pressing.
What's up?
You had something pressing that you can say.
Well, I didn't want you guys to wrap up without me. You know, I had to hop back up in
True.
here.
Okay.
That's true.
Final thoughts. Go for
Keep
it.
that Marcus Smart
We're
campaign
wrapping.
going, everyone. Keep an eye on Marcus. Keep an eye on this team. See how they do. And that's pretty much it, honestly, man. I think this whole thing is interesting with the Marcus and us versus the world, or me versus everybody else, whichever one it is. I think what we're gonna see the next week or so should be interesting, either one way or another, you know. So that's my thing. That's my take for next game for sure. Keep an eye on Marcus and
Brandon Tatum.
See if this
right,
team,
Josue?
can keep things going. Well, yeah, obviously. I mean, those two are always leading. You know, everyone's.
It was a
everyone's
given,
always wondering
but
how they're going to lead.
they did.
But yeah, no, I know it's a given.
They
But at the same time, with Marcus there in the mix, ever since he's come back, it's been a different feel with this team.
You kind of take it for granted, but Brown and Tatum have been blowing the doors off from a scoring standpoint the last 2 weeks here, and they got to continue to do that.
Borderline
Shits and
unwatchable.
giggles.
So
Get out of here. So when we're all negative and we're all screaming at each other, people, okay.
So if we're borderline unwatchable, then we're technically still watchable. Thank you very much, guys. Thank you for watching, everybody.
Borderline.
We
1
see.
hour
We
in,
don't.
1 hour
We don't
in.
shoot for phenomenal. We shoot for borderline watchable, right?
Borderline unwatchable, actually.
Yeah.
Which makes us borderline watchable. So that's actually a nice little. Put that on a T-shirt. Borderline unwatchable.
That's been the Celtics.
New merch
here.
dropping soon. New merch.
We do have some cool merch coming. If anybody is insane enough to buy Garden Report merch, we're gonna have
Put that on a t-shirt.
quite a bit of it.
Oh yeah.
Jimmy
Phenomenal.
Holmes. We're gonna have Jimmy Homeschool like stationery.
Totally. I like that.
That's coming
That'll
for
work.
sure. Yeah.
That'll be
There's
good
a lot of stuff.
with the ladies at the
Brockton
bar.
Wi-Fi, the hats.
Yeah.
Brockton Wi-Fi, apology
Wi-Fi's gotta
cam.
be. Brockton Wi-Fi's got to be with the. You said it before, John. What was it, like the old school like modem, like graphic or something like so?
Yeah.
Exactly. I hope we don't get sued by the city of Brockton.
Right, like nobody will move here now. Everyone thinks we're on
Libel.
3G.
Yeah.
This is false advertisement.
Slander and libel going on.
Yeah. Anyway, thanks, guys. It was a fun show. Celtics win. Big Jaylen Brown, the star in this one.
Oh man,
There he is,
that guy's a
everybody.
superstar.
See, we knew
Look
we'd
out.
get to it. We told you we'd get to it.
Jaylen
If you
Brown
stuck
was
around long
great.
enough.
I think
11 to
Jaylen
19.
Brown. I think he should have
33%
his
from
number
3.
retired,
Let's talk
you
about
know?
it.
Like we have to
We'll
have
put-
his number retired soon.
We'll put Jaylen Brown on a milk carton.
Hey, if Jalen makes the
Yeah,
All-Star team, Schroeder will really be out of here fast
Yeah.
Oh, real quick,
with
guys.
the
You know what,
incentives.
Bobby?
He ain't
Because you
making
said
the
that real,
All-Star team.
real
Saturday
quick.
night Jimmy shirts. Yep.
Ime talked about winning
I like that.
as to how the team is doing when he thinks about the voting process with the All Stars, which I thought was
Yes.
interesting. For a team that's 500, doesn't that mean by Ime standards that Jalen shouldn't make the All Star team, John?
I totally forgot, Josue. I had the same thought. He's basically saying Tatum and Brown shouldn't be all-stars because their stats are meaningless on loser teams. You know, like
Because the team is under 500 or 500,
Yeah.
right?
yeah.
Yeah.
He waits
Wait,
winning
who's-
heavily. There was Ime
Ime,
before the game. Said,
Oh,
he
I
said
love that.
he waits because he has the coaches have votes, and he says he weighs winning heavily in his votes because some people love big numbers and stats, and that means nothing to me because the winning teams you don't need to fill up the stat sheet. Winning is what matters, and that factors hugely into his decision making process. I thought that you're right, Josue. That was interesting.
Get ready for the fans.
Yeah, for him to say that.
Ime's not voting Tatum and Brown for the All-Star game. Come on, everything's gotta be Ime.
and everyone's gonna say it in exactly that voice.
That's pretty good.
That is how I
I'm
picture
sick-
disgruntled
on.
Celtics fans.
Yeah.
I'm so sick of the Ime whining this year. Ime's been great. I got his back.
If
Okay.
yeah, I'm fine with Ime too. Like I said, some rotation things are let's get a little creative. Some you understand he's a first-year coach. Some stuff's a little stubborn, but I honestly think like that'll work itself out. The point was trying to motivate the guys, get them ready to play. You don't have a mutiny on your hands here. I don't think you've got a tune-out situation. I don't think they've lost faith in him. In fact, if you want to, I might even give him a little bit of credit for the way Marcus is playing right now because whatever it is, he's on his best behavior. So that's good.
It's working. It's working.
Right.
He's getting the guys. He's getting the guys to sort of react in one way, which is something we didn't think Brad could do with last year. So in that sense,
Definitely
it's working.
Yeah.
All right. Thanks, guys. This was fun. I'm sorry for those of you who don't like fun.
Our bad. There's only like, I don't know, a million other things you could be watching. You don't have to watch this show if it's unwatchable.
Our bad.
We'll go PTI next time and just screw each other.
We're sorry.
Yeah.
We're sorry. We love each other and we had fun tonight. Okay, we tried to do.
Celtics won by 30. Sorry for the smile.
Blame Marcus. It's Marcus's fault. We love each other here.
Good night, all.